Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Is It Wrong Podcast with your host, me, Rey Parra. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe and share. Add all your comments. We love the comments. Every time we have a special guest, there's different comments. We have a conversation. We have a great time, guys. Remember to get our merch. We got some cool t-shirts, some cool mechanic shirts, some hats, some buttons, some mugs, all kinds of real good stuff. But just stay tuned for today's guest. It's going to be a great one.
This show is called Is It Wrong Podcast with Rey Parra.
Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Is It Wrong Podcast with your host, me, Rey Parra, and my co-host tonight, Seth Metoyer. Guys, tonight is going to be a little different. We're not going to laugh a lot. We'll have a little bit of fun. We always do. You know how we do here. But there's been so much controversy going on with the whole AI thing. What do we do with it with music? Is it good? Is it bad? I heard today, or actually many of you who watched my last podcast, Kurt talk about some people that were saying, asking Chat GPT, is AI the Antichrist? Are we in danger? Yada, 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 yada. So I don't know because I didn't research that. But tonight I called on Seth because I really want to bring to light what it is. It's good and it's bad. I mean, Trump's wife, she's using it for things, good things. You can use it for whatever. But tonight, mainly we're going to be talking about using it in music and how you can use it and abuse it, And tonight I have Seth Metoyer with me. He's assistant editor for Heaven's Metal magazine. And also he's the owner of Curfew Records. And he's also the vocalist and guitarist for an extreme metal band called Mangled Carpenter. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Metoyer.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on, Rey.
Yes, sir.
For those who don't know me, I've been working in the music industry for about 25 years. My background started as a graphic designer and creative director for several record labels. One of those labels was Rugged Records. If for anybody remembers that label, it was a first place Disciple was on that label. And they actually had also some Barren Cross and stuff and Red Sea. My first design was actually Disciples by God CD. So that was my foot in the door of the industry. And over the years, I expanded into audio engineering, music production and branding, visual design, artist development. As Rey mentioned, I run Curfew Records. That's been around for about 3 years now. So it's still small indie. We've got about 20 bands. It's mostly a faith-based label. We do have a couple bands that are, it's kind of like there's some Christians in a band that don't like to really identify as just a Christian band. They feel that carries a lot of weight in a sometimes negative light, which is, understandable. I play in several bands myself. One of them is, you mentioned, extreme band Mangled Carpenter. Which actually my brother and I started back in high school, back in the late 80s as an idea. And we had just decided to write a couple of our bands that we liked. One of them was the band Haven. I don't know if you remember those guys.
Oh yeah.
And they were the only band we heard back from, and we gave them a list of we're kids, teenagers going, what band name do you think would be cool? And Mangled Carpenter was one on there, and they're like, hey, Mangled Carpenter, that's cool. And we're like, yeah, we're gonna stick with that.
That's awesome. I love that.
And so and I didn't start actually playing the guitar until about probably about 2000 and early 2000s. So it took a while, but ended up eventually doing Mangled Carpenter. We've got two albums already out that released in the last 5 years on Rottweiler Records. And we actually have a new EP coming out in a couple months, new single next month. So it's a faith-based band. We sing all about, Christian stuff, and people like Mortification or Vengeance Rising. That's probably the closest thing that I could compare to it. And basically, I've spent a lot of time in both the creative and technical sides of the making art. And I also compose music, and I'm a producer for Hollywood films. I've done 20 Hollywood productions, and I've composed music for 5 different films. And one of the films that I did 3 years ago called Blood Harvest was a story that I actually wrote. And about 10 years ago, we had pitched it to Hollywood, to a producer that was going to do it, fell through like a lot of things do. 10 years later, he calls up and says he's got some finances, and we ended up making the film. And I did my first score, and that was nerve-wracking. That was fun though, sitting there, and I ended up having to get Cubase. I didn't know really how to do, the score totally in, sync with a film. So, and it was really fun. So I did that. And so now, coming into this conversation, of AI, it's not as a tech salesman or somebody trying to replace, say, artists and machines should, be in competition. It's more from a creative who's, watched technology over the years change through music and design and production for decades. And I've experimented with some of these AI assisted tools firsthand and cautiously, but what interests me is not the lazy question of, is AI good or bad? What interests me the most is where the line is between the tool replacement of people and humans, and between the illusion that we're creating and deception, between authorship and machine assistance, and how artists can use modern tools without losing the soul of what we're, creating. So
right.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So we were talking, and you made me aware of something that just blew my mind. AI's been around for a long time. We were talking about the Pixar thing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Talk a little bit about that. I mean, that little lamp. I mean,
the little lamp. And that was like back in the 90s. I remember seeing this little lamp jump around, and remember the first time I saw that, I was like, what is this? And, and then you started seeing, when Toy Story and stuff came out, and if you ever have a chance to watch some behind the scenes of this guy that's created, when he created Woody, and he's moving, and it was this early computer stuff, and he'd be typing in, this is what we want it to do. And then the artificial intelligence, I guess the computer generated imagery, CGI, which, people know what that is. It took what the guy was typing and directing, and then it would make the guy, move, and the computer would take the shadows and make things, happen. And then one interesting story that I was reading not that long ago was Phil Tippett was a guy that did practical effects for movies like RoboCop and Dragon Slayer, which was a movie I loved when I was a kid. It was like, there's that dragon, and Steven Spielberg saw this dragon effect that he used in that film, and he said, man, I want you to come on to Jurassic Park and work with our guys and create dinosaurs for us for Jurassic Park. So he shows up, and he says, the guy goes to the studio, and all of a sudden Steven Spielberg says, I do have one thing we need to show you. It's this new animation tool. We do some practical effects, but this is CGI, and look at this dinosaur. And he said he saw this dinosaur walk across the screen and looked real, and he's just like, I'm cooked. My career's over, And Steven Spielberg, he goes, you know what? No, it's not. He's like, I want to hire you to oversee this computer generated imagery and make sure that we're doing this that looks proper, we want to make sure that the computer's making the breathing, like what this dinosaur would look like, it's breathing and how it moves, and we want you to tell the animators how to do this, how we want to see it.
So it was totally dialing it in.
Yeah, and he dialed it in, and he got a new job, and was part of the Industrial Light and Magic team. And that, to me, that felt like an example of, people are panicking, thinking that musicians and artists are going to be replaced by AI. Everyone felt that about when Auto-Tune came out, and people were being able to change their vocal, register that they could sing at. But you have singers that can do that with their eyes closed, and they're really good. Or you can have artists who know how to create things, and might need tools like when Photoshop came out, or digital cameras came out, and things like that. So, but yeah, we've had that, when drum machines, I remember, when drum machines, and you might remember that even before me, you're a few years older than I am, but, drum machines, people were like, well, drummers? What's going to happen to drummers? We're not going to have drummers anymore.
Yeah. No, I remember that, man. It kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it just got better and better and better,
Yeah. And I was working, I used drum machines for my music programs. And I was talking with this guy, Paul Graham from Testimony of Apocalypse. Some of the viewers might know him and that band, and started out as Sacrament, thrash band from early in the day. And he was the drummer for Sacrament, and him and I talk a lot about music, and he still plays his drums, and he's like, getting up there in age. And he was playing, I was playing him a song that I had done for Mangled Carpenter, a cover song of a Mortification song that we're going to introduce. And he was listening to it and saying he wished, he needs to practice his rolls a little more. And I said, of course, this is, drum program. And he said, yeah, he's like, but I'm going to keep doing it, traditionally as long as I can. It's like, I'm hoping by the time I'm 80, I can still at least do some jazz, but I think that's an important part to realize too, is that no matter what technology is going to come along, it's not going to replace people who want to play the drums, people who want to pick up a guitar, and a piece of wood. And I always say, we're a band, we're looking up on stage at these guys standing there with holding pieces of wood, making noises, when you really think about it, and there's always going to be a kid that wants to sit down and play drums. You're not going to stop people from wanting to create. So
no, exactly. And that's the beauty about why we're having, who is this?
Oh yeah. That's the project that Doug Van Pelt and I actually were working on, called Dreams Over Texas. Yeah. Doug Van Pelt, people know him probably from being the editor and founder of Heaven's Metal magazine. And that's one of the covers for the new song that we worked on together, actually. And it was an idea that Doug had for a project, and he wanted to do a Doom project. And so I told him I could help him with some of that music. And so I did the keyboards, and I did the guitar, and program the drums. And my brother Chris Olson, he does bass for all my projects. He records bass out in Connecticut and sends me the files. And vocally, the register of what we wanted was similar to Peter Steele, and also Dave Draymond from Disturbed, that Sound of Silence song that he does, it's just amazing. And it's just,
I like it better than the original.
Me too. I mean, it's such an amazing, it's one of those songs you listen to, it gives you goosebumps,
Dude, I watched them sing that live when I was in Nashville. George and I went, we had killer seats, and David sang that. I was getting goosebumps, and the whole freaking audience was singing the song, dude. It was just like,
man.
Wow, man. When you capture the moment.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that for a second. AI will never capture the moment.
Nope.
Never.
No.
It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't have feelings.
Right. Nope.
You're not going to get what you get when you see like David singing that. You're not going to get that from a machine.
No. And nobody's going to, nothing's going to replace that. And people are not going to stop wanting to hear that and see that in
Right.
person.
Right.
You know, people may put on a song that's AI generated. There's communities, subculture communities of these
Mhm.
AI creators who actually they sit there and they'll share their AI creations, and there's like millions of people doing this. You know, they're sharing their stuff and they're enjoying it. It's not, obviously it's not for everyone, you know,
Right.
but to tell, I guess, those people that it's not real or not something they want to listen to. I don't know if it's a newer, younger people that are doing it, but I've done some research and there's a bunch of people out there that'll share songs every day, and there will be like the most popular song of the day. This song has like 20,000 listens and streams, and people, it's an interesting and strange culture because we're musicians and we're in this kind of bubble over here where we like traditional music. We like listening to somebody, you know, play the guitar,
Yeah.
create something really interesting. But what's cool about the fact that there's always going to be a pushback against technology. I mean, there's people that don't even watch CGI films, you know, because they like the traditional, you know, practical effects. And I like that too, you know, but I've seen some good CGI. I've seen some horrible CGI and going, God, what'd they
Yeah.
put that
Yeah.
in there for? But I think that the cool part about, you know, this AI issue is that it's going to make traditional music more of a commodity. More people are going to go, I want to see something interesting. I think I saw a viral video going around. I'm not sure if you saw this one, but it's a guy and I think it's a girl, but they dress up in this polka dot stuff. Have you seen
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the long nose and
Yes.
playing that. And I mean, this is what's cool because people are like going, this, you know, we want to see more stuff like this. And people
Yeah.
are like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's listen to this stuff and something crazy and weird. Let's make something neat. You know, as long as
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are actually still going to support that stuff. I mean, the AI stuff, I mean, a lot of this stuff is sort of just noise, and a lot of it's panic, a lot of it's fear.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are afraid, you know, what if somebody's listening to too much AI and not enough traditional stuff? What about, you know, what about this other good stuff? But here's the thing, what I found over the years before this AI stuff, when Spotify started coming out, I mean, it was like, even 5 years ago, it was like, there was something like, you know, 100,000 to 200,000 songs uploaded to Spotify like an hour. I mean, it's just crazy. So people
Crazy.
talking about the AI flooding everything, it is, but
Yeah.
so is regular music that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. For
very
sure.
good. And there's a lot of stuff that's really good that we never get to hear
Right.
because
Oh, yeah.
there's so much on Spotify and vying for attention. And you've got the music labels, these big music labels paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their band or song put on a Spotify playlist, an official Spotify playlist. I've tried to get our guys' bands on my label on a
Mm.
Spotify playlist, and you can submit every time you release a single. You can submit a song for consideration to a Spotify playlist, and never, not even once, can you get even one on. And
That's
a lot
sad.
of the labels, indie labels, I know they haven't had that happen either. But I did see one band in Indecent Tendencies or something like that. They got a song on a Spotify playlist, and I mean, you get a lot of streams when that happens.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you got to fight through all that too. And I don't know if AI is actually taking like fans away from real music, because I think fans are smarter than that. I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes if something's AI or not. I know that's one of the issues we probably want to discuss too, is our
Mhm.
people don't want to be fooled. There's been
Right.
people who are like, heard a song in a band and went like, this is awesome, man, I'm going to share this around. And somebody's like, well, that's AI. And they're
Yeah.
going, well, I don't want to support this AI stuff. So now I feel kind of like I've been duped and I feel silly.
Mhm. So,
And is it deceptive to do that? You know, things like that.
yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was gonna say, so what do people mean by AI versus what they really mean about
Y-
AI? I mean, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There's a different.
Yeah, it will, and it depends. People will hear when they hear, a lot of people will hear AI, and they'll hear generative AI, and that's, I think, the most pushback I've heard. Basically, the generative AI is going into there's several different sites out there, but let's just take the most popular one, Suno. Go out, that you can go in there and sort of like Mid-Journey, the graphic one that came out a few years ago, or even in ChatGPT, you can type a prompt to give you an image. I want a guy that is wearing a rock and roll t-shirt and a beard and long hair talking on a podcast, and it'll give you an image. With music,
the GPT will you talk to does that?
Yeah, you can do that now too. Yeah. You can request it to make you an image of anything, and it'll do it.
Make me skinny.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen it do, like, have a character of something and be like, yeah, that character's cool, but maybe drop about 20 pounds on that character, and it'll go wink. Yeah, I mean, just for
I like that. You like
fun
that
stuff, and some of that stuff's kind of fun, and
yeah.
It's getting so good now. And it's like, it's again, where's the line of this when it's used as a tool? It can do something like this. I have a cover of a CD I did called Musings by the Bay. I did it several years ago, and I had a local photographer in Monterey took this amazing photo before AI was around and everything of the Monterey Bay. It's like, man, can I use this for my cover? And he's like, oh yeah, just credit me. I was like, oh man, thank you. And I used it. And it's this beautiful sunset. And so I was doing a 5-year anniversary where I added an extra song and remastered the stuff. And I couldn't find the original image. I just had the text because I wanted to put remastered on it, and I didn't have the layered file. So I reached out to the guy and asked him if he had the image, and he said he couldn't really find it. And I said, well, would you have a problem if I took this into ChatGPT and tried this and asked it to take this image exactly as it is and remove the title and my name and just give me the image? And it did it. And I couldn't even notice the difference. I was like looking at the thing, and it looked just like the photograph. And I was like, it's powerful. It was my artwork that I had permission to use, and so I used this as a tool, so I felt okay with doing that. It can also show you how dangerous that can be in certain.
Let's talk about some of the dangers. That's what I was going to say. Let's talk about some of those dangers with that. I mean, kids, can AI trick kids into doing stuff that they shouldn't do? I mean, you hear about all these kids, they're social media, and they're killing themselves and this and that. What are some of the dangers with AI? As far as, like, not just with kids, but with adults in general?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've seen, it's hard to, this state, we're in a point right now where it's like no one is pumping the brakes enough on some of this stuff. I mean, there are some things, I mean, you can't go into some of these programs and go, like you can't go into that Suno program I was talking about and say, I want a song that sounds like Taylor Swift. It tells you, no, you can't, this is copywritten. Cannot do that.
Okay.
You can't go in there and use lyrics from a Taylor Swift song. I did a test one time with a Taylor Swift song. I had ChatGPT go through and change anything that had the letters, like the letter I, change it to EYE. Change just so that the lyrics were completely different. Were like instead of like a term like sign or sigh or something, if you can spell it a different way where it looks different, it noticed right away. It said, no, this song is a copywritten song. So those kind of catches need to be there, but I could take it and ask it to do a song that sounds, I could say, okay, I'm a fan of Rey Parra from Sacred Warrior. Listen to this clip, and ChatGPT say, listen to this clip and tell me what I would need to do a vocal prompt that sounds similar to this guy. And it would give me something, and I could run it through Suno, and it would give me something real similar, to what, and I could possibly pump in a lyric from if it's not catching the copyright, it might go through and let me do a cover song of that.
Wow.
So there's dangers in certain things like that, but I think that's what we're going to have to get to, the point where it's completely controlled, where nobody's going to be able to use the likeness of another band or another image of a person without being, having it licensed. And I know that in Hollywood, right now we're having the first AI film going to be coming out with not what's his name, Val Kilmer, who passed away. His family has approved, his estate, that this AI version film that he wanted done when he died, and he was okay with the AI likeness doing this film. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to come out. It's obviously very controversial. I'm part of the Screen Actors Guild, and it's something that they're saying this is like, they're okay with it to this point that the family wrote off on it, but you have to be careful because we don't want any films of people's likeness. I think I had mentioned to you that there was a video out there somewhere where I had seen, Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt having a fight on a roof. Yeah. And it was like, whoa. I mean, you're sitting there going, man, and this is now, I mean, what's this going to look like in 5 years? And that's some of the dangers we're talking about. We're not just obviously that's copyright infringement. Someone's going to get sued massively, and that's going to stop that stuff pretty quickly. Bro. But like you were saying, what's, to taking an image and like these deep fakes and stuff people have been having to deal with, what if someone blackmails a kid at school saying, I've got a picture of you doing this with, with dating a girl and kissing another girl or something.
I'd be like, let me see it.
Yeah. And going, man. And how do you prove that that's not real to, or, some kid going, hey, yeah, it's, Jimmy was here buying cigarettes at the store and going, hey, did you buy cigarettes? And they got this picture, a video of you.
Yeah,
this looks a lot like you, no, it's not me, Dad.
Walks and talks like you. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah. But
that is dangerous.
With all tools, though, it's like it's danger. Tools, especially powerful tools, in the wrong hands can be dangerous. And I think coming to another point with that is like where is the line of say AI, like AI generative slop, in bands, people passing that off as, okay, this is my band. And saying things like, this is we're doing all the instruments. I mean, being with Broken Curfew Records, I get a lot of submissions, some traditional, some that are obviously AI. And some of them will say, oh, this is an AI project. And they'll even explain that, this is AI, but I got in an accident several years ago and I'm not able to play the guitar.
Oh, wow.
So I still want to create music, and I have this vision. Here's my lyrics. These mean a lot to me. I wanted to do this. I can't, so you're going, okay, so is it, should we take that away from them? Somebody that has a creative vision and wants to express themselves because they didn't play the instruments. Is that something wrong? Should they not be able to do that? Or is that something that we should allow? And I have worked with a couple bands that did that, but I helped them distribute an album. This one band that I helped distribute an album, and it got to the point where I thought it was cool what they were trying to do, but it's just right now I don't really want to be the label that's like, quote, signing AI bands. It's just because I think where my line would be is if you are using this as a tool to enhance something you're doing, where you have, say you used a drum program and you wanted a different snare drum sound, and you used AI, which you can do, and go, I've done this. I like to say the drum. If I like a snare drum sound
Tommy
from
Lee
a piccolo drum from Deftones from their early album, I just like this snap, and I can't get it in a regular program. You can go into some of these AI things and go, can you switch that up? And sometimes it will, to the point where you're like, that's what I was looking for.
Right. But at that point, it's still safe because you're just changing the tone
Yes.
The drummer's still performing, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things that you and I talked about a few weeks ago. Everybody knows what I posted on Facebook about a certain individual, and
Uh-huh.
it's it's like we said, it's not that you're using the AI,
Yeah.
to enhance or whatever. It's be honest about it, because
Yeah.
like you said, it's a tool. It's
Yeah.
there for us to use. We
Yeah.
don't know where it's going to go.
Right.
We all have thoughts of to where it's going to go and what it's going to take over or whatever. We seen too much of this. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
dude, it's weird. We don't know, but the bottom line is, if you're going to use it, just be honest about it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? Like you said, you had a couple bands on your label.
Yeah.
Hey, this was AI, and we enhanced. And then you have some. Hey, I used Suno to get some drum tones, or I
Yeah.
used AI for this. But now, if you use an AI to write
Yeah.
the song for you, and then you're figuring it out and learning it and performing it, wow,
Yeah.
that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
like, and like I can listen to music, and I've listened to so much of different kinds of it. I've listened to a lot of the AI stuff, and I can tell you when it's some AI was used. I don't, and the thing is like a lot of times people will run a lot of music or art through AI detectors. And the problem with that this day and age is that with traditional production now, a lot of the traditional programs that we've used in engineering for years, like Isotope, Kazrog, so many different ones, Avalon, that have these plugins, mixing and mastering plugins. Well, they're updating all their software to AI engines. And so it's like, it'll listen to your mix, and now it'll play your mix, and it'll go, this is what we think. We listened to your song, and this is the best mix. And here's 5 different options on how to, make this sound better. And they're using the similar tools that you already had, but the generative AI, or the AI itself is listening to it and telling you, well, this would sound better here. I've used some of those options, and it's like, I'm an audio engineers, and that's the thing. You'll never replace. You can upload to BandLab and get your stuff mastered by BandLab or some of these other things. But the thing is, you're never going to replace, like, I'm an engineer who has a different ear than, another engineer, might have. Rick Rubin is going to listen to something, and he's going to go, this is what I like.
right.
This is my way I master or mix an album, and I'm going to do the same. And so if somebody's going to come to me, they're going to come to me for what I can bring with my ear. Some people might like the way I do it. Some people might like the way someone else does it. But some of these people then you come to the whole part about money. It's like, you're going to have to pay are you going to pay an engineer, or are you going to go, this is good enough for me. I'm going to write a prompt for my cover art, because I don't want to pay an artist because I don't have money, or they're too expensive, or I have this idea and I think I did it best, and I can upload my master to, BandLab, and it sounds better than it did when it wasn't mastered. I guess corner cutting. It's like, again, where's that line, and who's going to tell those people? Because people told me that, with the graphic stuff, that we're going to all lose our job. But here's the thing. In the last 5 years, I've had more freelancing designs than I did in my 25-year career in the last 5 years, for bands, I did this, doing graphics for a game called Mortal
Combat.
Finish him.
Mortal Existence. It's like an RPG game, kind of like Lord of the Rings, and it's like this huge world that these guys have created, and they needed art for it. And literally, they had an artist do all their art, showed it to me. Cool stuff, I thought. But they started sending me images, dude, that said that they sent it to me, and I'm like, well, I recognize this stuff is AI that you're sending me. I'm like, this is AI from like Midjourney 5. I've been using Midjourney for textures and concepts for years. And I'm like, this is a version 5. We're in version 7 now. And I'm like, this is what you're looking for? And they're like, yeah, this is the style we want. This is the customer. So I'm like, well, I can definitely get you this look. from using some AI stuff, but I can't get you the specifics of what you're saying with this primordial monster that has these tentacles and 4 eyes and these claws of 4 arms and this long tail, this very specific stuff. I can get you the style possibly in Midjourney, but my advantage is I can take it into Adobe Photoshop with my skills that I've done traditionally for years, and I can make it happen. I can make it look the way you want because I can cut the arms off, I can put the layers, I can adjust the colors. So now it's, again, I used it as a tool,
Right.
so traditionally designed it in a way that his other artists couldn't get him. And now he's like, well, you're Seth Metoyer, this is a Seth Metoyer treatment I want.
Oh, yeah. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
AI or Seth?
This was a mixture. This is a hybrid. This is an image I took of myself and I adjusted it in Photoshop. The background was an idea I had and actually ended up rendering the idea in Midjourney in the background. The crow, I didn't like the way that a crow rendered in the AI. So I went and I found an image of a crow that actually I took a photo of, and I cropped that in there and put him in there. And the dreams over.
That's a real crow.
Yeah, that's a real crow.
Wow.
And the textures that I used were Photoshop. So it's a hybrid, and it's something that I've of both. I mean, like I said, I've been designing graphics for over 25 years, and in the past, I would have, if this background kind of ruins idea, I would have had to go through some, we used to have these stock CDs, image CDs that we had in in companies that I would work for, different labels. They'd have these Shutterstock CDs that had maybe 20 images on them with cool textures and backgrounds and things of photos that people took, and you can come and manipulate those in Photoshop, and they were really expensive. They're like $500 a CD for like 20
Jeez. Images,
wow. And I know with talking with Scott Waters from Rocks Records.
Yeah, from Rocks.
He did one of the Fear Not covers, and when he first started experimenting with some of the AI stuff, obviously he's a traditional designer, and for us traditional designers, it's really difficult to get to the point of going, okay, where do we use AI, if at all? If we're going to integrate this, how are we going to do it, and how's it going to stay art? And so he did this design, one of the Fear Not covers, with I think this bodybuilder guy holding something over his head, and
kneeling in the woods or something like that.
And Scott had said that he would look through some stock photos and his own stuff, and he had something very specific he wanted, and the only way he could get that one portion of it was he rendered this design in AI. But he also, the thing is then you take it into Photoshop and then you manipulate it to look what you like, how you want it. And then he took photos of the sky, and that was his background of the sky and the textures of the background and images. And it's just kind of like, it's using it as a tool. And it's just, no difference to me than using, a 3D modeling program to do an animation.
Right.
You're directing it or what to do, but it's not sitting there going, that image of the cover of the Dreams Over Texas, it wasn't, give me an image of a guy with a beard and a blindfold and a crow and a background of ruins. You can type stuff like that, but it's going to give you a bunch of different things that and it's not your vision. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so but a lot of people are doing that with the AI slop, they call it. They'll type that out. It'll be one image. They all look the same. You can tell what images are just a Midjourney image. That's kind of a basic one, because there's kind of like a run-of-the-mill generic vision of that.
Right.
to. And some people, some of these bands are fine with it. They'll throw it on their, but then you also have, bands. I remember seeing somebody say, looking at Seasons in the Abyss cover of Slayer, and somebody commented somewhere and said, man, that's cool, but I really wish people wouldn't use AI, for these covers.
Oh yeah.
Well, this album's like a 30-year-old album. This is
There ain't no AI in that.
It's been getting hard to tell. It made me think about this Suno and trying to figure out what it can and can't do of some things. And one of them that I'd played with was Sacred Warrior song.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's this program will allow you to do a cover version of songs. So it was interesting. I wanted to see if it would let me do, a Sacred Warrior song here.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
Yeah.
The dude can't be a better singer than me. No.
Right?
No. Is it wrong?
Is it wrong? Exactly. Let's see if you can.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if it's up here.
There it is.
Here we go. All right, let's get it started. If you can.
You're looking to get your next thrill. Music is loud, the lights are bright. The woman is dressed to kill, wearing their high heels and tights. Can't you see it's all so clear? You're living a lie, wondering why, still searching inside. Days go by, still you try, never understanding that you're just one of many.
Wow.
Crazy,
Dude,
huh?
that is creepy.
Yeah.
I remember singing that for AI. I said, if somebody ever asks for this, just here you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Wow, bro.
But now, you're sitting there, and I think that I know that they're getting to the point on here from research that I've done is that this is, I mean, it's a cover, and it's quote unquote, they call it a cover song. And it's playing as a vocal, kind of mimicking it close to what someone else is doing. They used to have a plugin on here called Persona, and a lot of artists I was reading were uploading their own vocals so that they could generate some things into the program. And and there's generative like this where you can just type in, kind of song that you want, and that's kind of the generative stuff. But they also released a program, a DAW, where you like kind of like a Pro Tools or Cubase or something you record into, and so like you can now use it as a recording studio yourself, like your own guitar, your own vocals, drums, all that. Wow. But people were saying that they wanted something to save time and do their own vocal persona. And it allowed a vocal persona where somebody could just use their own vocal and go, okay, well, I don't feel like, I guess, singing this part right now. So they put their vocal there, but they removed that because people, I think what had happened, I think somebody had ended up uploading something from a bigger band and released some song. And it was like saying that this was a song by so-and-so. And they're like, well, that wasn't us, and so they kind of had to shut that down. But again, it goes to show that that's something like that really does need to be, they need to figure out a way to control that and not allow, somebody to upload the true persona of somebody else, because that's your vocals, that's your copywritten,
your song, everything,
vocals,
yeah, wow. Hey, let's talk about the Wizard of Oz dilemma.
Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz dilemma kind of leads into what we were talking about with, okay, where is music? To me, has always been an illusion. Okay, so we're creating this illusion of a bunch of guys, girls getting together, singing and making it sound the best possible. People have heard demos, if everybody, if you listen to like an old Motley Crue demo of like
Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood, it's almost hilarious because you're just going, man, what is this? And then you hear Bob Rock bring this whole dun 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 dun,
Oh yeah.
dun dun dun, and you hear the beginning of Dr. Feelgood, and you're like, oh, so that's part of the illusion. They're making it sound as good as possible. Yes,
Right.
they're singing the songs. Whether or not Nikki Sixx was in there playing bass that day, it might have been him. It might not have been. I know on some of the early albums, he didn't even record the bass because he was too plastered,
Right.
So
Yeah.
a musician, studio musician to do the parts. And so is that being deceptive to fans? Do fans care about that? Do they not? So I guess it's where we get to the whole idea of musicians and using this AI stuff. If it's generative AI and you did nothing on it and you're saying that it's you as a band, it's not AI, then you're lying.
You sit on a throne of lies.
You're being deceptive. And so, but what about the other portions of it? Like, I have no problem talking about the hybrid stuff I do for my solo stuff. For my extreme metal stuff, I do the guitars. We use, a drum program, Easy Drummer. If I decide to run that through something like Suno for a drum to change a snare sound or something, I may do that. But for my solo stuff, I do the guitar, I do the drum programming. My brother does bass. I do the lyrics. And I do the vocals to the extent that I do a vocal part of it. I do the singing.
Oh, right. Sure.
So, but then there's a part where I take, say, a program called Otomy, where it has all these different registers of vocals that you can lay over the top, and you can get and mix it in and get the vocal sound that you want. And so I have no problem, mentioning that for my solo stuff, I do that. But it's like, so when people want to ask, say, a traditional band, okay, well, we think that you might be AI. Some of my guys on my label, they're traditional recording artists, and they've been asked, well, okay, what do you use? And if sometimes people will even start saying like a drum program, and people will be like, well, I don't like AI. Well, drum programs aren't AI. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Or if somebody uses MIDI files, for their drums, you can, the MIDI file tells you where the beat is. Piano can do it too. Virtual instruments, you can write with a piano if you wanted to, and you can make the every key be a guitar, chord, or and then people are like, well, you need to prove to us that this is an AI, so show us your stems. And that used to be enough, but now these AI programs can split stems and give you your vocal stem and your guitar stem. And so you're at the point now where you can run something through an AI detector, and it does, and you can produce it so well it doesn't necessarily know, or it'll say, it'll say that part of it is, or so then now people are just kind of doing playthroughs and stuff. But we talked about that the other day. Okay, so if what's to say that this AI part of a guitar or a vocal, I mean, Gene Bandana can say that, he recorded the vocals on this song, and it's probably not him because it's an AI vocal. And
I see what you did there.
Yeah, and just because he can, send a video and go, no, I did this part. That's what I can do. It's like, yeah, I mean, if you're a good vocalist, you could probably do that part. And and if I'm a good,
it's not just one video, it's 30 videos. Doing that.
Man. Yeah, I can look, see, I can prove that I did this. And it's like, all you're proving is you can sing, and that's great. Hey, maybe try singing it on the album.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That would be great too. So, but George Ochoa could listen to an AI song with the guitar part and go, I did that. Oh, well, prove it. Okay, here, watch. And it's like, a good enough guitarist, he could play it.
Hey, since you mentioned that, I'm going to play a little piece off of our Worldview record. we have one of the songs on there is called AI Revolution.
Ooh.
If you have not heard the new Worldview record, here's a little clip.
Are you ready for the new solution? Come join the revolution. We'll program what you think is true. We're shaping new.
Oh yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I love that. Man, I was jamming out to Worldview yesterday because my brother, he was like, my brother Chris, who's out in Connecticut, and we're big Sacred Warrior fans, you know, back in the day, and he was like, dude, man, it's like I don't know how I slept on this Worldview because it's like, you know, really awesome. And
I see you for who you are. More than conqueror.
he's like, check this out. He's like, we would have loved this and jam to it in our room, man. And yeah, I put it
Yeah.
on yesterday, and I was sitting there going, man, this is a really, you know, really awesome. And the one that I liked was because I'm doing this for Heaven's Metal. I'm doing this. I'm going to do this 10 songs of March 2026 that stood out
yeah.
to me.
Yeah,
'Cause
sure, sure.
for Heaven's Metal, we're supposed to do, you know, what our playlist was for the month, and I don't ever get around to that because I listen to so many. I'm busy writing
Yeah.
stuff and doing this and that.
Yeah.
But that beautifully haunting song,
Hauntingly beautiful.
hauntingly beautiful. Oh man, that thing was hauntingly beautiful, and I was gonna
Yes.
that's going on my list. And man, it's just like,
Dude, Crystal on that just
yeah,
so blessed to have her in the band, as
Yeah.
part of the band, part of Worldview.
yeah,
That girl sings with emotion. When she sings with conviction. She's got a great voice. She's great live. Just a great godly woman that sings fantastic.
that's awesome. Yeah, it was a beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got your vocals going into it, and yeah, and then the rest of the album, you know, I think one of the songs Dino Elefante did, the lyrics are and some of the writing, and then George
Yeah,
Ochoa
correct.
stuff. You can always tell which one's George's. He's always got that ballsy. I just
When
love
I
it.
when I was
Yeah.
laying the vocal tracks on that, the first song on the record, I'm singing, and I'm like, beware the wolves, doing the thing, you know. That's the one he co-wrote. And I lay down some tracks, and in my head, I'm like patting myself on the back. I'm like, what do you think, Dino? Is that pretty good or what? He goes, yeah, that sounded pretty good. Now try this. I'm like, but he
Yeah.
pushed me, you know. And that's why I think that record is great, man. I
Yeah.
love that record, man. Just
Yeah.
love it.
It's really well produced, and it's got it's just it's something that people shouldn't sleep on.
Yeah, and
That's
some
what
of
I'm
those
gonna-
songs, yeah, some of
gonna
those
do,
songs. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and some of those songs were intended to be recon songs that
Oh.
never made it on recon number 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, bro. And then we just took them and we ran with them, man. And just
Huh. I didn't
amazing.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at one of the lyric videos you guys did, and I was going to do maybe a little reaction video to one of those for the Heaven's
Mhm.
Metal page, and I'll
Yeah,
definitely
do
do
it.
that sometime. Yeah, I had one song that I did because, like I said, I'd been wanting to do a solo album for like 20 years. I'm a fan of that kind of that early 2000s kind of Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle,
Oh yeah.
Incubus type stuff. So I had this song, Flicker of December, 20 years ago. I had written this song, and it around Christmas time. So I mean, we're in spring, so it's a little out of date, but I
Right.
released this song, and I was going through a tough time around December, going through a divorce, and started writing this song in Nashville, the lyrics to Flicker of December. And I was really down and stuff, and just, kind of looking for that. Sometimes you go through the holidays and you kind of feel like everything's down, and you kind of
Yeah.
going through sometimes, and it's like basically give me back that flicker of December, when silence didn't feel like forever, before the pain, before the splinters, when wonder hadn't been lost. Give me back the flicker of December before it all slipped away. So I had this guitar riff that I did. I'll start the song if you don't mind for a minute.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
And had this kind of that beginning riff song that I'd written in Nashville about 20 years ago, a little over 20. I mean, almost like 30 years ago now.
Wow.
And so,
oh yeah, bro.
yeah. And this part here, like,
Lights don't glow the way they used to.
you know, vocally, I used to like that kind of, I like Stained and Chevelle. I
Yeah.
could sing part of this vocal the way I wanted to, because I had the cadence I wanted, but I couldn't get the deeper part and the more clear one. So I used a vocal transformer to help me transform the vocals to where I wanted.
Oh, right.
But you can hear some people have said that this song was pretty passionate and they did feel something. So maybe, I mean, you don't have to keep all this in if you don't want, but I kind of wanted to play this part for you.
No, I love
See
it.
what you
I
thought.
love it. Yeah.
Something sacred. Now it's just another phase. Give me back that flicker of December, when silence didn't feel like forever. Before the pain, before the splinters, when wonder hadn't yet been lost. Give me back that flicker of December, before it all was stripped away.
That is nice, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that is nice.
You know, it was kind of like one of those songs. And when I was writing the lyrics, like I said, I was going through this really dark time of my life. And
Yeah.
it was like during a time where I had some suicidal ideations and just was trying to find a way through, and just I had realized that all it would take is just one. When people get depressed, and when I've been through that, if there was just one thing, one small thing of hope, light at the end of the tunnel, a flicker in December at the time,
Yeah, yeah.
that so, and I go into it, just a prayer in the dark for one more magical season, and trying to get that flicker back in your heart, and obviously coming back to God, or reaching out to Him. And during times of darkness and depression, it's interesting because if you're a believer, you can go through those down phases,
Oh,
get
yeah,
really
man.
bummed.
Absolutely. Hey,
And you're like,
Christians, man, we deal with the same crap everybody else does. We just deal with it differently.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you can, if you can have somebody to reach out to, sometimes you feel alone. Sometimes, you feel like, I don't know, it's not that you don't feel like God doesn't understand you, because He does, but sometimes you can feel that there's a distance there. But one thing that I've through my life that I went through, if I have felt kind of like distant from God, or upset at God, or there had been times where there was times, when I was in my early 30s, I was upset and tired of God, not tired of God, but tired of people and tired of religion and Christianity. I'd worked in the Christian music industry for years, and I got to the point where I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. Not necessarily God and leaving God, but I was very distant. But one thing that never failed was I always knew He was there.
Yeah.
He was always following me around, seeing me go into the club, seeing me hanging out after hours with Kid Rock in Nashville, and I mean, but that, I went through a phase where I just, kind of searched for some, things outside of that. And I was just very hurt. Like I said, went through a divorce, lost my kids through a divorce and things like that. But these things all come back in music and creative people. And that's why I wanted to write that song and do everything I could with that song. The only thing for me that was missing, unless I wanted to hire a vocalist, to come in and do the vocals, which I could have,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
had something exactly in my mind that I wanted to do. So that's where the dilemma, or with this AI stuff going on, where does this become? Is it still human created? Is there still human element behind it? Is there still passion behind it? And is it okay to use a tool like a vocal transformer to get it to sound the way that you wanted it to?
Mhm.
And for me, I can only answer for myself because I made this song for me.
Right.
Even Rick Rubin will say that you need to make your music for an audience of one first, and that's yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And then hopefully other people will like it. And to me, I got to the point in my life is like, if people don't want to listen to it, it's cool. If they like it, it's cool. When I heard some people say this song meant so much to them around the Christmas time, it was validating, because that's one or two people that meant something to them. So, but to me, art has to still come from us, the person, that wants to create and share something with people, tell a story, and express yourself. So,
Yeah.
but that gets back to the, Wizard of Oz dilemma. How much of that information do people need to know? I mean,
yeah, man.
now, where's the transparency in explaining exactly how I did this and exactly how I did that? Or, because, an illusionist like Penn and Teller or David Blaine, everyone knows they're doing illusions. So that's
Right.
that's the difference. They're tricking you. People want to be fooled, and they'll go to watch a magician to be fooled. There's also people that want to see behind the curtain and want to see the magic trick. But man, every time I see the magic trick, I'm like, that's what it was. Oh,
It
man.
takes away the fantasy about it, right?
Now it's gone. The illusion's gone.
Yeah.
I want to believe this is I know that you didn't, make this card truly disappear and come out of my ear over here, or end up in this guy's pocket over there. I mean,
yeah.
I know you
That's great.
couldn't have done it, but man, it seems like you did.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then there's that. And I guess that's where we get to that whole part about how much do people need to know, and where is the artist's, where do we owe the audience honesty versus not showing them the entire magic trick?
Yeah. So basically, not every digital tool is AI, and not every use of AI is fraud. It all depends on how you want to use it and how much you want to share about it. There are some magicians, Penn and Teller for one, that'll always tell you this is how we did that, and that's okay.
Yep.
But you don't want to give it up every time.
No.
But the main thing is you don't want to be fake about it either. You
No.
don't want to be that guy who's like the friend that we have. No, that's me. I did all this.
Gene Bandana. That's got,
That was a nice bandana he was wearing. Yeah, yeah.
Brett Smichaels. I don't know.
There you
Anybody
go.
out there?
Yeah. But you don't want to give it all away. There's always been a curtain there, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically you have to, as outsiders, people who aren't musicians, and again, we're just mainly talking about music. People who are outsiders aren't really into music. They're not going to know. They'll hear something. Guys like that can be fooled. Hey, check out this song I wrote. That's me, and really it's not. And you're trying to pull it off as some fake thing, and that's when it really hurts the industry, and it hurts the integrity of music, because real artists, they're not gonna say, hey, no, that's me. If it's not, you're proud of what you write and what you sing.
Yeah.
As an artist.
Yeah.
You don't want to take credit for something that wasn't you, because how can you feel good saying that? Come on, man.
Yep.
That's bull crap.
Yeah.
The reality is I used AI for this. I used it for that. It was used as a tool to help enhance I don't use it.
Yeah.
Because number one, I don't know how, but if I did, I probably would. I don't know.
Yeah.
What
about auto-tune? Have you ever used auto-tune?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
I was watching Billy Corgan interview, and I wish I knew the artist, because sometimes they won't tell who the artist is, but he was a respectable artist that sings live. And Billy Corgan asked him, he says, what do you think about auto-tune? And the dude said, he goes, "Oh, I love it." And Billy Corgan goes, "That surprises me, because I asked you because it was sort of a leading question to see what you say, because he says, I know from your concerts that I know that you use auto-tune live." And he's like, "Why do you do that?" And he says, "Oh, I do it because," he's like, "it gets me the vocal style that, I want to have when I'm live." And Billy Corgan said, "Dude, you're an amazing vocalist. You don't need that." And he said, "Here's the thing. The reason I use it live is because," he says, I get pitchy," he said. And Billy Corgan was like, I find that hard to believe that you get pitchy, but okay. And he says, here's the thing, that but he's being honest. This is a guy that's an amazing singer, and he doesn't even need to admit to using auto-tune, but he's upfront going, "I use it." And said, "I asked myself, if I'm in the crowd watching me, what would I want to hear? This guy that's kind of pitchy, or do I want this experience?" He says, "So I want to give the crowd the experience, and I don't have to focus on trying to run around with my guitar and pretend and all this." And so it's interesting, but the same person could have just said, "No, I don't use it."
Right.
Or when you hear people like say things like, "I didn't, I don't use backing tracks." I don't know if you remember a few years ago, I think it was Ken Tamplin, and there was a whole thing that went on where people were just flaming the guy.
Yeah,
and I'm
man.
sitting there thinking, well, for myself, it's like,
I was at
I've
that show.
seen- Yeah.
I was
Oh,
there.
really?
Yes, sir.
So, and here's the thing. I don't understand. If somebody is using backing tracks, who cares? I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I don't care.
Exactly.
But if somebody asks you if you used a backing track and you say you didn't, or if somebody says, "Do you use a teleprompter to read your lyrics?" Or do you Milli Vanilli it sometimes?
Right.
I mean, if you do those things, why not just, here's the thing I've found. If you're honest about stuff,
Yeah.
people, then they can just judge you on that.
Yeah. So let me
But
put
if
you in
you're-
my world. Let
Yeah.
me put you in my world. Sacred Warrior. It only applies to Sacred Warrior, not Worldview. We record every show, every live show. And afterwards, Steve, our bass player, dissects it. And we all get messages, which is something we all agree to, which is great. And he'll say, "Yeah, Ray, you were pitchy on this, pitchy on there, and a little bit here and there." And when you listen back to the tapes, when you hear it live, I can hear me being pitchy, certain angles. But for me, I would rather not use auto-tune and be genuine, be who I am. Now, teleprompters. I have a monitor on the floor that when I need to, I'm going to go look at it,
Yeah.
because there's so many songs.
Yeah.
I'm getting up there in age. Not really. And you can't possibly remember Deny the Fallen stuff, Worldview stuff, and every Sacred Warrior album. I'm going to forget little lines here. So what I rely on that for, the first word or the first two words. And I'm not ashamed to say it,
No.
because you know what? I'm going to sing it with confidence.
Yep.
And if I got to look at the word and keep going, people are going to be happy. They see me looking at the monitor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
For me, it feels good because I'm singing the song.
Yeah. And
You know what I mean?
if anybody, and then if anybody asked you about it, you just tell, like you did me. You just said, I look at it, and most people. Here's the thing: what I found
Metallica uses them.
Yeah, exactly. And what I found is fans here, I think that a lot of times they get surprised when people are honest with them, because everyone's so used to being lied to about everything. And they don't really have a reaction. They don't really have a response, because they're going to be like, "Oh, okay. Well, okay, that's cool."
Yeah.
And in my life, I found that there's three kinds of people. There's people who love you and love what you do. They'll let you get away with pretty much anything. They'll have your back to a limit until you betray them or something.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that are haters, and it doesn't matter what you do. They're going to find a reason to not like you and then hate you. And then you've got the most other people that are indifferent, and they'll hear something. You're just probably noise to them. Right. They may agree with some, they may listen to you and agree with you, and maybe not. And most of them just don't really care.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, just remember, it's like backing tracks, or, then there's that too. And auto-tune, that's kind of similar to what we were talking about with the AI, and where's the honesty? Do you know, how honest does somebody have to be? I mean,
Yeah.
people don't, I mean, in studios, it's like, if you hear a song, it's like, people don't realize have you ever heard a song where a singer's singing and harmonizing, and you're like harmonizing with themselves, and you're like, man, how's a guy do that? You know, most
Right.
people don't realize, you know, in the studio, it's
Separate tracks.
separate tracks. So when a band's doing that live and their backing singer isn't, I don't know, Richie Sambora or somebody, you know,
Yeah.
you
There
know,
you go.
doing that,
Or Chris DeGarmo.
yeah, Chris Garmo, and you know, you're the singer's singing it and hearing this cool part where they're harmonizing, and it's the same singer. It's probably a backing track, and that's I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't either.
But-
Because honestly, bro, when people buy records, most people, when they want to see you live, they want to hear what's on the record without hearing the record. You know what I'm saying? They
Yes.
want the feel of the live show and the interaction and da 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 da.
Yeah.
But they want to hear what they know, because people remember crap. They remember the chorus, they remember the hook, they remember the harmonies, they remember the guitar solo.
Yep.
Dude, you
So-
better hit every note on that, because people are gonna remember it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, they're gonna say, well, you know,
Oh, man, he was a little off.
Yeah, but you know
Well-
what? That's the live feel. But be honest.
You know, and like you said, you know, like you would rather be pitchy, and actually and Billy Corgan was saying the same for himself. He's like, if I'm playing live, if I'm off a little bit here or there, that's it. It just is what it is. It's part of the experience.
Yeah.
He liked that. I remember when I saw Metallica, gosh, I think it was in the early 2000s on the Saint Anger tour, which everybody hated that album, but
Yeah.
I remember it was in Florida actually, and it was so humid, and when they got to the song One, Kirk was having such a hard time with it. Was so wet playing the solo to One.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's funny because, like you said, everybody's knows that solo of in One, and
yeah,
you know,
man.
getting in the
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
but he was having some trouble with it, and it was noticeable, but it doesn't ruin the experience really, because it happens, you know. Or, you know, I remember seeing Deliverance live back in like 92 or 93, and I remember Jimmy starting off Stay of Execution, and he would start with that. I mean, because you know how that song starts and the drums have to start. And he would start it, and he had restarted the song like 3 times because they couldn't nail it. But that's part of the experience.
Awesome. Yeah.
You know, but then you get
I gotta
jamming,
call him
man,
and
and
bust his nuts now.
yeah, you know.
Yeah, Jimmy, I don't know if you've seen him on here before on my podcast, but we used to tell people that we were brothers.
Oh, funny.
And people believed it. And I always said,
see
dude, and I always said, dude, you got the looks and I got the voice. He's like, that's right. That's right.
That's right.
You got to watch the episode I did with Jimmy.
I will.
It started out so funny because we talked for like 20 minutes and I go, hold it, time out. I forgot to hit record. And we started cracking up. Then we had to go all the way back. Watch that. It was so much fun. We laughed so much. Oh, man.
Do that. Yeah, I did a podcast one time where we did it for an hour, and the dude was like, hey, man, tomorrow you got some time and do that over again. For some reason, it stopped recording about halfway through, and I'm like,
yeah, he forgot to hit record.
Okay, bro. But
oh, man.
But yeah, you know, and so I think another one of the examples that we wanted to get to real quick about just the idea of the technology and things replacing other things. And I think I was going to mention, you know, I love photography. I love, you know, traditional photography. And I had in the yearbook class, I did photography in 92. I was a yearbook photographer, and I would do it in the dark rooms, you know, and go back into this literal dark room and try to open up this can of, you put the film in there, you know, and you develop it in the dark, and you trying to pull, and so then you finally get the, you know, the film, and then you go into the other dark room, which isn't completely dark. It's got red light because now things can be looked at and you can see, but you can't expose the paper. because there's the paper that has to go through the development bath, and you can only keep it in so long because it might overexpose or underexpose. And you know, I remember one time this guy saying, okay, so did you get your film ready and get it out? And I'm like, yeah, I got it here. And okay, so open up the camera, and I exposed my whole thing of film. And he's like, you know, you need to rewind it first. And I said, oh man. And he says, you know, I would have told you, I knew what you did. But he says, I did that once. He said, but allowing you to make that mistake, you'll never make it again.
Yeah,
you know, stuff
dude,
like that.
I did
And
that.
just but going through that process of taking the photos and you know, developing them stuff, there was something cool about that. And I'd love to set up a dark room like that in one day. But you know, I
You
went
got all
back.
the little trays with the liquid in them.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
liquid. And I
Cool,
remember, you know, we had this hazing thing. Oh God, I felt so bad. One time this girl would come in and we were hazing, introducing to chemicals and going, okay, here's the first chemical, open it up and take a sniff. And she sniffed it. It was so strong, dropped the developer all over the floor. Oh man, we felt so bad, got it all over her shirt and stuff. And we were told by our teacher, you know, no more of that.
Yeah, I bet.
And I remember, you know, the guys that were in the yearbook with me, they were like, they would come in there and turn up Slayer, and then and I'd be like, oh man, these guys need to hear like Vengeance or Deliverance. One day I'm gonna pop that in there, you know, being a teenager, you're like, I'm gonna introduce them. So I would do that, but they would get up there and they'd smoke weed in the back, and they'd go up to this vent they created and blowing it out. And I'm like, man, this is some education for me, and I'm only in high school. But yeah, but I went back there after, you know, several years to visit my high school teacher. And I was like, oh, so I want to see the dark room. She's like, man, we closed that. We have dry dark rooms now. I'm like,
what's
dry
that?
dark rooms. I'm like, oh, everything's digital now. I'm like, oh, so that's what it's called. So yeah, now it's called dry dark rooms, where they take the digital camera, come in, download it, go through it. I'm like, oh yeah, and sitting on a computer. Yeah. You know, nowadays everyone's got a camera. Everyone's a photographer. Everyone can go out and take pictures and selfies and stuff. But did the art of photography, did that get replaced? I know everyone feared that. Well, there's not the traditional stuff as much anymore, but there's traditional photographers doing traditional stuff, having shows. So, I mean, is technology, you know, the enemy? Is how much? I mean, are we photographers if we use digital cameras? I mean, is that photography anymore? Is it art?
Yeah,
you know, same questions.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you, and I guess the bottom line is, what I'm concluding from this whole conversation is, AI is here. It's advancing every day.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not.
Yep.
And what we need to do is we need to control how much of that we let into our lives, and also control the output of it, if that makes sense. Because if you're going to do like our friend and record stuff and write some killer stuff, well, not really, right? You know, who's that? Who's that behind the curtain, you know? Then it's really not a good tool for you. But if you can use it the right way, Michael, the guy that gave me these cups right here, triactin cups, he sent me some stuff because I was going to have him on, but we're going to do this again, y'all. Listen, I promised a couple of you we'll do it again, and we'll bring some other people on and we can have a discussion. But today we just kind of want to do this. But he sent me a couple of songs, and it was really cool the way he did it. I said, Ray, check this out. So here is the original recording, and he sent it to me. Then he said, now this is AI enhanced. Same song, same everything, but wow. And he sent me a couple of songs. And you know what? He was not saying, hey, I did that. He's saying AI did this.
Right.
You know, and I use it just to kind of help enhance stuff. And that is perfectly normal, man. If you can do that, my God, do it. If you use Suno, like you said, for ideas or whatever, go for it. It help you enhance a tone or this or that or whatever. Go for it. But don't lie about it. Just be honest about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it comes down for me too. And when I had this band, this AI project that 2 years ago, it was this cool melodic death metal band. And I'm not going to name the name because it just brings up a lot of garbage.
Mm.
But it was with a same person that we've been discussing. It was a
Right.
really cool album, and it was my favorite album that I had heard that year. And
Oh,
I
wow.
liked all the songs. They were really
Yeah.
good. And this was when AI was in its infancy. So it wasn't really easy to pick up on. And even then
Right.
it was produced well. I liked it. And then I had somebody reached out to me from a
Another
big,
country?
no, from a big Christian website called For the Rock, and one of the guys reached out to me, and he said, just FYI, I think this is AI. And I was like, well, is it? Said, is it all AI? And we kind of went through it, and I had a talk with him. We did a video chat, and he was showing me kind of how the process would go in the song, and I said, okay, I can hear that it was similar. And so I had reached out to this guy and just asked him, I'm like, is this AI? No, it's not. None of it's AI. Okay, cool. Well, all right, cool. And then somebody had brought it up again, and I was like, well, now listening to this, it's like it sounds like it is. And so after a while, the guy admitted, okay, this is an AI project. I'm like, and man, and all all I
After
needed to know,
denying it.
yeah, after denying it, and then is this an AI project? Yes, it is. And saying, it's no difference than what when you use some AI to do your cover art for your bands. We've talked about this and creating some aspects through a tool if you need this element or that element. And being a graphic designer, I have a certain look on how I like things in my traditional way, and I try to mimic that as much as I can. I don't like things to look AI, but I'm not going to say that I don't use some tools. And so I was like, well, do you sing any of the vocal stuff at least over? He's like, well, I can sing the vocals. See, and I'm like, yeah, man, cool, that's awesome. And so, well, did you
I'm
do that on
sorry.
the album? And he says, no. Well, no, I didn't, but what I'll do is I'm going to take the band in. It's going to take us a year, and I'm going to produce. I'm going to record all of the songs from scratch, brand new. I'll sing all the vocals. And I was like, I don't really want that. I don't mind releasing. I wanted to release this, even if you would have told me that it was some of the tools. Go through, sing over the top of all the songs with your own vocals.
Yeah.
I'll still release this, but I have to actually make and I don't know if this was the right thing for me to do this, because I was new at running the label was new. My first instinct was, I don't want people who bought this single, because we only released one single, and it was a really cool song. I still love this song. And I released it, and I didn't want people who bought the single to feel like, what happens if somebody goes, hey, there's AI. And I didn't want them to say, well, Broken Curfew Records didn't tell us, and they're trying to dupe us or something. And so I just wanted to make sure anybody that bought this song, feel free, if it doesn't bother you that this was AI, because this was infancy AI. No one really knew what it was. It was,
right, sure.
I will get you your money back, refund you your $150, but we just want to be transparent. I'm all about transparency. And this person had a massive negative response to it, basically saying, you need to remove this off of your Facebook page. You're smearing my name. You're making me look bad. I'm losing respect from this industry. I'm losing jobs and people are mad, blah, blah, blah. You need to remove this. I'm like, but it's truthful. I'm telling the truth. And so I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I hadn't released the band yet, the project, and then eventually ended up doing that for several reasons. And most of it was because then, they started getting angry, and a person you've dealt with, this is the same person, and got very angry and started threatening my bands.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. So I was like, I have to cut ties. And I went like this. I'm like, here, you can have the license back to your album. I've designed all 2 CD covers and the album cover. I'm giving those to you. I don't want any money for them. Take it and release it yourself independently. And thought that was it. After 2 years later, still, but now saying things like that it wasn't AI, and that it was when I have emails where I have all this proof. It's like, don't dig yourself into holes. Just be honest,
Mhm.
and what I'm thinking happened. I know that Rocks Records had an album that I didn't know. I didn't know whose album it was. I didn't know anything about it. I got reached out to by the label owner, Bill, and he asked me to listen to some songs, and he says, people are saying that this is AI, and I can't tell. Can you listen to this and let me know? And I listened to this album. There's a couple songs. I listened to it, and I said, I've heard a lot of AI music, and said this is done really well. Said, I think that there's some AI used in here. I said, but there's something about the guitar riff that seems really, really original to me. So it might be one of these things where they're using it as a tool, where it's a guitar, recording a guitar riff in, working in some drums, having some AI do some of the vocals. Potentially, I can't totally tell, but there is some AI, in my opinion, in here. But I can't tell you for sure. So he ended up going back to this band and presenting this is what it sounds like, and they denied that it was. Got very angry with Bill, threatening him and Scott and they ended up doing what I did with the other band, and come to find out it was the same guy and the same project. Tried to do the same thing, and it's just like, who's ruining the way you're seeing yourself? I just be honest.
Yeah, what's crazy about that whole thing? That you told him, okay, I don't care. I'm willing to use it. Just say it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and we'll use it, and we'll let everybody know, hey, this is Kick Butt Band.
Yeah.
This is their AI version of what they can do. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Done. Instead, no.
Yeah. And it's like, and there's going to be there are people out there that if there's anything generative AI, they will not listen to it. They'll there's a running list in the industry of bands that are AI. You're told to not listen to them and avoid them, blah, 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 blah. And that's cool. That's fine. Everyone's prerogative. There are people out there that don't mind. Like I said, there's a subculture that really likes this kind of like AI stuff. There's people who like that, just have fun with it. But when you're sitting there presenting it as 2 record labels, here, sign my band. We're a real band. This is real. And there's several that have tried to do this, and people are like, dude, this is AI. And they're like, no, man, this is not AI. It's this and that. It's real. We're a real band. And it's like, people's red flag goes up when it's like a band no one's ever heard of. They just came out of nowhere. They've got a full album. Or you'll see there's a band I was looking at on Spotify that was they're just this open AI band, and they released like this kind of like AC/DC type stuff, and the lyrics are about bombs and machine guns, and you're just going, oh man, I'm looking at it going 60,000 monthly listeners, and they're releasing there's like over the last year they released 12 albums, like an album a month. This is what we're talking about, man. That's AI slop stuff. I don't think that's cool. If somebody wants to present me with something that sounds awesome, you put time, lyrics, it sounds cool. You tell me what you did to make it. So if people are asking about it, I can give the answers. But if you're just trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, if you're trying to pull the full Wizard of Oz, and you're from Kansas and you're peddling nonsense, I don't really want it.
Yeah, people aren't idiots, man.
Yeah.
They're not idiots. But Seth, man, I really enjoyed this conversation, brother.
Me too, brother.
It's really neat, man. It's scary. You know what I mean? As far as AI, where it's going and what it's doing. But I guess the bottom line is like Seth said 100 times tonight, like I said, if you're going to use AI, it's a tool. It's not going anywhere. Use it responsibly, I guess is the correct word.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't lie about it.
Yeah.
Don't lie
Yep.
about it. Be honest.
Yeah.
Any last words, Seth?
No, I mean, I think that, I guess final thoughts would be about, like you said, the future of it. I think some of the more practical things would be, making sure there's persona licensing in
Mhm.
place, so if somebody's, going to use a likeness of somebody, have permission, or, with AI, and one thing I think people misunderstand about AI in all levels is they will tell you that AI steals from artists.
Right. I've heard that today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and actually the truth is that AI doesn't steal. It learns like we do.
Mhm.
AI is actually a learning program. It's taught, it learns from things it sees, and it not even sees, because that's probably not even a term that AI does. It researches and pulls information, and it's like if you're a painter in the expressionist age. Expressionist painters learned how to paint expressionist style from looking
Right.
at other people. I learned to play guitar by tuning a guitar and finding out, and if I want to learn how to do a guitar riff from, Slayer guitar riff or something, or Georgia Choa, I want to learn how to play this.
Georgia
Choa. Yeah, Georgia Choa,
There you go.
and be like, yeah, and now if I go and write a song later, and I love the deliverance,
Mhm.
but I'm going to make it my own. I'm not doing a cover
Yeah.
song. I'm not ripping off George's guitar. I may have learned from it. I may actually even use some of the way he likes to do it, but I'm not going to copy his exact riff.
Yeah.
Now, did I steal? It's not stealing, it's
Right.
learning. And so it's learning technology. And so I believe that AI learns.
Mhm.
But the thing is like, if it's learning from certain bands, and one of the things that I know that Suno, because Suno was getting sued by some major record labels because they were using the software to learn from bands that haven't given permission, and now they can't do that. So basically, it's going to get to the point where people, if they want, if I'm a band, if Sacred Warrior says, here, you know what, Suno, through our ASCAP or whoever does our licensing, we will opt in to allowing AI to learn from our catalog. Yes, they can do that. How many bands are really going to do that? I highly doubt they're really going to, because it's like, well, what are you learning? Are you learning our writing style, or are you learning Rey Parra's exact vocal style? Next thing you know, somebody's releasing an album and it sounds exactly like Ray. Well, shouldn't be able to do that.
Queensryche tried doing that, sounding like me. I can't believe it.
yeah, Queensryche did that. Yeah, they're claiming that they did those songs, and it's not. It's you, But so the licensing things, the legality, a state approved replicas, like we're talking about with Val Kilmer. If and it's been around for a while. Darth Vader. We hear Darth Vader, his voice. I mean, James Earl Jones allowed, before he died, signed a massive deal for his estate that said, you can use my likeness for Darth Vader in movies after I'm gone. You're not listening to him really speak. Is that fake? Is it really him? Is it not? Is it okay?
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, he approved it. So yes.
Yeah.
And so I think the human creativity will survive. And the young creators are going to be the ones who decide all this for us anyway.
Oh yeah.
Younger people, they're going to decide what music is and isn't. But I really do believe that true creatives will always paint and sing and strum the guitar, take their photos, and build things with their hands too. So
that's it.
But if you want to, if you can make something that makes something quicker, faster, use it as a tool, I'm cool with that.
Personally. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, listen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show, man. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't
not as fun as King's X and Metal Church and some of the others, but hey, it's like sometimes you got to bring it down to a more
that's it
sobering level.
That's it. Yeah, a
topics in
little.
our industry. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a little more serious, and
Yeah.
but yet very informative. And Seth, it was great chatting with you, brother. And
Good chatting
guys,
with
just
you too, man.
remember, man. And what I'm going to say is not just about with AI and the music. It really encompasses your integrity. A lot of my viewers are Christians. Where's your integrity? Don't lie about it. Be honest.
Yeah.
It's cliche when people say the truth will set you free, but that's reality.
Transparency and
about it.
honesty,
There you go, man.
especially in our industry, like you said, and especially in the
Absolutely.
Christian, that's where the morality part comes in to play even more than just the regular secular world,
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
But just remember that, guys. Like it or not, it's here. You want to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. But if you do use it responsibly.
Yep.
And thanks for being on the show. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Guys, is it wrong?